PM.
WIIFTBP. Media's just for you and me. WIIFTBP. Media's just for you and me.
Broken screen? Crash system? Are you in need of spyware or virus removal from your computer? Well, contact RPC Computer Repair in South Shore and let us help you with all your computer repair services and print needs. Need office or print production services, copies, scans, fax, or even notary service? Then stop by and support RPC Computer Repair and Print Shop located 1741 East 71st Street in the 71st Street corridor, newly revitalized South Shore areas, and let RPC be your one-stop shop, where we believe RPC is your PC. RPC Computer Repair is also a UPS access point where you can drop off and pick up your important packages. So let RPC be of service to you. Call RPC Computer Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. through 6 p.m. at 773-966-4457. That's 773-966-4457. Visit RPC at rpccomputeringinc.com for more information.
I press decline and you keep calling me. Give you some love and you want all of it. I'm out here working, nigga, get a grip. I'm just trying to touch a million, you just wanna coexist. I say you clingy and you contradict. Give you my heart, you think it's counterfeit. Give you my word and you won't trust in it. What's the point of loving me if you don't know what trust is? I need the ease you give now. Please don't back down on me. You've got the attention I need. Put your pride aside for me. Oh, 'cause I need that ease. Put your pride aside for me. That ease. While I'm out trying to get that ease. Know that I need that ease. Put your pride aside for me, baby. You're and you keep saying all my love is never enough. I put up with you for too long, now I'm over it. You want affection, I need money, I'ma call it quits. That ease, that ease, that ease. Put your pride aside for me. That ease. While I'm trying to get that ease, need it. That ease. Put your pride aside for me. Put it aside, put it aside, put it aside, put it aside, put it aside. Put your pride aside, put it aside, on me. Put your pride aside for me.
Look at the camera.
Yeah.
It feels so nice. Girl, you do it right. Good morning. Good morning. This is Tasha Napper here with your show I Do, I Did, I Don't on What's in It for the Black People Media. Thank you for joining this morning. I am excited to see you all and to have a conversation like we always do. The show focuses on divorce, but also all of the stages, the I do stage, the I did stage, the I don't stage. And so lots of good content here to help you as you are navigating, thinking about marriage and getting married, getting to the point where you decided, I did that. Not sure I want to keep doing that. Not sure I want to do that again. And then the I don't stage, which is the divorce stage, and moving forward and moving on. So I am here to help you to think about, how do you thrive? How do you, after a divorce, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and spiritually, how do you thrive in the process so that you are better on the other side of it? So thank you for joining. I want you to like, to share, to follow, and share this with someone that you think could use the information. I am constantly coming across people who have questions, across people who I would not necessarily think are navigating the process or thinking about divorce, but they are. And so as you encounter people that you think could benefit from the information, please do share. Please do let them know about the broadcast. Let them know about what's in it for the Black People Media as a whole, because there is a lot of excellent content on this network to share with you. So as we get started today, I wanted to talk about, how long does it take to get over it? This question came up for me because it was a conversation. I was in a chat room, and a conversation ensued about a woman who had been married for 29 years to her spouse, who's a soon-to-be ex, and they've been separated for 4 months. And his comment to her was, get over it. Get over it. Which, 4 months into a separation after having been married for 29 years feels like an absolutely, it's just insulting on one level, but it's also unrealistic, I think, for someone to just get over it after their entire life has been spent and built with another person, and to do that in 4 months. And so as that conversation was happening, the question came to my mind is, well, how long does it take? How long does it take really to get over it? And is that the same for everyone? Is it different for everyone? I happen to ascribe to the belief that it is different for everyone, depending on the relationship, depending on, I'd say, the level of preparation for the divorce process, or just how long the relationship was working or not working, if people were emotionally checked in or out, if this was a surprise to some. It really does depend on the situation and the individuals involved, because everyone's not the same. We have talked many times about the divorce process being you're walking through stages of grief. There is a grief process attached to this. And it's not just the grief process of, darn, something happened, I'm no longer in a relationship, but it is, you're grieving loss of what was, but also the loss of what could have been, and whatever plans you had set in your head, your mind, your future, you're constantly thinking about, okay, this is gone, but in moving forward, you have to grieve what will no longer be. And that is a challenge. That is really, really a challenge for people to think about that. Not only are you grieving the past, and you're grieving what you're losing in the future, those hopes and dreams and plans that you set in place, but now that grief doesn't just automatically go away. And it's not like someone
like grieving a death in that the person's gone, you don't see them anymore. Oftentimes we're still interacting with those spouses, the soon to be ex, and then the ex on the other side of it. You can't go through that process. So, how long does it really take to get over it, and how long does it take to move on? Because we hear this, and I remember hearing that, like, I heard it through someone else, like, well, how long is it going to take for her to get over it? Like, I'm sorry. Why is my grief process bothering you after you have been the cause of this situation? How is it that somehow I need to be on your timeline in order to process and work through my situation? I'm sorry that inconveniences you, but this is how it is. And I want you all to not apologize for what time you need to take to grieve and to get over it or to walk through it, which I think is a much better phraseology here. You need to walk through it, and it takes however long it takes. And that should be okay. Everyone's not going to do this the same way. But you know what I wonder? I wonder, why is it that men seem to do this much faster than women? Why is it that they seem to move on faster? What is it about the male makeup and the female makeup that makes us generally take a long time? Obviously, there are exceptions to the rules, right? And, there are sometimes those women that you will find who just kind of cut it off, get over it, move, and those men who take the time to grieve. But and to grieve longer and really mourn the loss of the relationship. But why is it that men seem to get over it much faster than women? Is it because women are just emotional beings? Is it because men are just so physical that they're less concerned with their emotions? I'm really curious about what drives the process and what is different for us in the process. Isn't that men do they compartmentalize better, and that's what it is? Do they get over it faster, or are they just faking the funk, really? They look like they're not struggling with the situation, but in fact, they are. It just looks different for each of us. So I'm curious from your perspective, Reese. What do you think about why do you think do you think that men get over it faster than women? I wonder. I wonder what's happening, like, in the background when they're at home listening to the sad songs on the Midnight Love the segment on the radio, and
they don't do that no more.
They don't do that no more.
No.
I swear I've heard Keith Sweat on the radio still.
Yeah. I mean, it's on the radio, but the new age people, we don't listen to the radio really anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, I want to say men are just trained to show no emotions. So, I can't show you that you got me like that. So, it's over, I move on. I'm probably hurt, of course. I probably check your page on Facebook, all that. But I got to get over it.
So it's not that men aren't hurting. It just comes out differently. It manifests itself differently because you're trained to not show the emotion, like you said, and you're just sort of like, I'm. So you're faking the funk in a way.
I guess you can say it, but what I'm saying, like, ain't no point in me crying over it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to move on to the next in my life, but I'm definitely hurt in the inside. Like, years later, you know what I'm saying? Like, years later, a guy is probably still affected by that, but we sometimes use that as like a process. Like, all right, well, if she did me like that, then okay, I know to watch out for the next one and stuff like that. But
I think that's true for women too. It's interesting to me, and it feels like what you're saying is a little bit of, there's this compartmentalization of life in a way. Like, all right, no sense crying over spilled milk. It's done. I need to move forward. And it feels like men are inclined in many cases to move forward faster than women will be. I don't know if that's just because men are physical beings and they just need to have somebody, they need to have sex, whatever it is. But it does feel like oftentimes that process moves faster, and they're looking at women like, well, why don't you just get over it? Like, move on, when it's not that simple. It's just not that simple. So yeah, it just makes me, I'm interested in it would be great to have a conversation with a group of men and really understanding, because I do think I've heard men talk before about the impact a relationship had on them and the ending of that relationship and how it shaped their life moving forward. I think that is that's true for women too. But I have heard them sort of express either the regret or the loss or the grief or the heartbreak or whatever that is much later in life. Kind of like you were just saying, like they'll do that later on, not right away. It depends. Some will, some won't.
I just think for guys, so for most guys is we're trained that it's almost like a bargaining thing. So like I'm trying to see how can I put this. So like guys, I know for me, I try to find somebody that actually values something besides like money.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So it's kind of hard, because in today's life, broke boys don't deserve nothing. I know that's right. You know what I'm saying? I just think like the way that like guys are just trained to not have emotion, to not have weakness, like to be the provider, strength. So we really shell everything in, which is not good because we really don't vent.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't show our emotions. So like sometimes when we do, they come out wrong. But I think it's easy for us to really, like move on. So instead of me carrying that pain, I can just move on and put that person in to fill that void. Like she may not even be the person I need at that time. I probably do need some alone time and self-reflection.
Yeah.
But I don't want to self-reflect on the pain. What's worse, the pain or the hangover?
Right.
Two choices. So I'd rather be hungover. I'd rather, be hungover than feel that pain. So he'll feel it hurt, and then he'll take that as, forget her. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go, talk to somebody else.
Yep.
But his whole motive for talking to the next person is from his previous relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So he still ain't those emotions.
So you hit what I was thinking is there's this, let me just move it on and replace these feelings or cover these feelings with something else so that I don't have to really deal with it. And so you get the rebound relationships, or you get the from a woman's perspective, dang, he just moved on that fast. Is that easy to replace me? Like, what is it about me? What is it? Usually they're not too much to look at, but either way, but it's interesting because we internalize a lot of that as a reflection on us, as opposed to it being a reflection on that male who isn't dealing with his issues. He's not doing the work, but just trying to move on and cover it up. So it is. I do think men compartmentalize better, and they don't really get over it faster, but they are. It looks that way.
Definitely some deep pain in some guys, and even the way they move is from past relationships. You know what I'm saying? Like the way they move. So it's pain that is just, show no love. Very rare. Very rare. And I'm just like I'm just built like that. Like,
yeah.
It's just because to me, after I cry about it, then what's gonna happen?
Right.
I just cried about it. It's the event or the circumstances still happen. So it's just move. It's just, you know what? It's over. Boom. Move on to the next one.
Okay. So I want to try to figure out what the difference is. Because in my case, I can very much be like that. I'm about, let me get there's still business that needs to be taken care of. There's still life that has to be lived. There's still work. There's still, all the other responsibilities. There are still children. And so while I might be sad about something and mourning about something, I still need to keep moving. And that's typical of, I think it's typical for a lot of women in a lot of cases, but some things just hit real different. They hit different, and you feel like you can't, you're thrown for a loop and you can't just move forward. So definitely have heard stories about women who've had excellent credit, 800 credit scores, through a relationship, long-term relationship. That relationship's ended and they just weren't functioning well. So they could function enough to get to work, but the rest of life was just kind of falling apart. And they weren't paying bills, weren't paying the mortgage, weren't paying and they look back and they're like, I don't to me what because this is not something I would normally do, but this is what happened. I just really wasn't fully functioning in life, and they're amazed that it was even happening to them. And but then you have the other women who are like, okay, let's keep it moving. Let's keep going. So maybe it's not so much male, female. Maybe it's just your disposition. Maybe it's just your disposition and the type of person that you are. Whether you decide, all right, I'm sad, I'm gonna cry, it's time to, nothing's changing, let's just keep it moving. Because I felt like that's how I responded as a woman in many ways. Although I was very visibly still working through my pain. I think that's the difference. Working through the pain and the grief and the everything else that came with it, but I still had to keep moving at the same time. And the difference seems to be that women show that. They show the emotion that they're still working through it, even though they might still be taking care of whatever else needs to happen and trying to move it forward. But men just aren't showing that. And so in not dealing with it or not showing it, they're covering it with something else, whatever that is. That could be another woman. It could be pornography. It could be gambling. It could be drinking, whatever, name your vice, right? It could be anything that somebody latches onto to try to cover the pain. It could be church. I don't say that. It could be religion, that someone decides, okay, this is how I'm going to walk through this and deal with this. And that's probably one of the more constructive ways of handling it. But I do think that men suffer a lot. They just don't show it in the same way. And I don't think they get over it really, truly any faster. I think they're just faking the funk and trying to find the replacement. So I remember a guy saying to me, well, maybe I don't want to tell that story. We'll skip that one. So, you know what? I do think it hits guys, but it hits them later. It hits them hard. It hits women hard up front. It hits men harder later. And I think it hits them harder later when they realize, because they're comparing everything to the relationship they've already had. And so when they realize that they had an excellent setup, whether that was an awesome wife, or awesome partner, and now they don't, and they're not getting the same things, and life doesn't feel the same. I think that's when it hits them a little bit more. And it hits different when they don't have the true support, that backbone or strength that a woman tends to provide through difficulty, especially a woman who is vested in a relationship, invested in that individual. I think it hits different later.
You know what? Yeah, and also for like a man, like crying that's like a weakness to us too. So it's like really, I'm telling you, it's really man masculinity, and which is very, very bad. I know, like I'm a guy. It's some issues that I wish I feel. I know I could, but like for a man, it feel like it's kind of really hard. The emotional part.
If y'all go, I'm gonna. Is this?
Yeah.
It's just gonna tear you all the way down, and
exactly.
You just don't even know how to put that back together.
Exactly. And then we out here hurt, destruct, and then we just out here sleeping with any old thing. So it's just for men, I don't know. It's just we are emotionally unstable, and we just don't vent. That's how we don't vent.
Yeah, that is a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for a blow up at some point. And like you said, that expression is going to come out in the wrong way. Well, I think everybody gets there in their own time, and your grief process needs to be determined by you, not someone else, especially not your ex, male or female. They don't get to tell you how long it should take you to grieve or how long it should be before you get over it. They have to deal with it. You have to deal with it. And Sorry that it might inconvenience the other person, but it is what it is. And I would suggest that you take care of yourself and do what you need to do for you in terms of making sure that you have the time, the space, the support network, the energy, the strength, whatever it is that you need in order to walk through your process to get through it. I'm not going to use the term get over it like I hear. I would say get through it, because it is something that you have to walk through to the other side, and you can be well on the other side of that. And I don't think that you're moving on as much as I think you're moving forward. And some people might say, okay, semantics, you'd use a different word, but there's a different connotation. There's a different sense of power and authority and responsibility when you talk about walking through something and moving forward. That embodies that there's action required and deliberate action required on your part in order to move to the next place. So I'm going to take a break and be back in just a couple minutes. Again, if you are tuned in, please like, please share, and please follow both the I Do, I Did, I Don't page, as well as What's in It for the Black People Media. And I'll see you in a couple minutes.
WIIFTBP. Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Tuesday through Saturday.
Stars were born to fly. I've been searching, crowded, looking for a way out. I've been hurting, falling, but I think I found my way now. I'm on my own, far from home, lost in space, in my zone. I found these truths far from you, in my space, in a stellar mood. Yeah, I finally got my mind right again. Did it all in spite of the hate. Every time they said that I can't. Nebula, they run through my veins. Every molecule in the trance. Senses feeling some kind of strange. Damn, I think my name's Spider-Man. Jump out the window.
All right, welcome back to I Do, I Did, I Don't on What's in It for the Black People Media. This is Tasha Napper, your host, and we have been talking this morning about how long does it take to get over it. Lots of folks, as you are going through the process of a separation and divorce, people are like, okay, well, just get over it and move on. And we tend to hear that more often from men directed towards women, but it can happen both ways, right? And so we talked a little bit about that and how long does it take and, just the differences between how men and women process the end of a relationship and how they process grief and express emotion and the impact that that has on the way that it looks outwardly in terms of dealing with the situation. But, some people just don't get over it. Some people don't. And one of the things that's interesting is when, say you have a situation with a woman who learned that her spouse was cheating, and because this happens a lot, as we all know, infidelity is a huge reason for divorce, but she finds that someone's cheating. I think everybody gets over things in their own time, right? So she finds out that she's cheating, but she's not sure that she wants the marriage to end. She's trying to figure out, do I want to work through this? How do I really feel about this? What were the terms of engagement there? Like, how did this happen? How did it go down? Because all of that plays a role in figuring out whether she wants to move forward with the marriage or not. And in the process, I think that's a very healthy way of processing the situation and trying to decide, I took vows, this is important to me or it's not important to me. But I do now. What do I want to do?
What was her first thought if I want to be in this marriage or not? And not, why would this man that's married to me cheat on me?
Okay, so that was the first thought. It was the first thought. Like, why did the cheating happen? What was it about me, about the relationship, about the other woman? What happened here? And not only that, but how did I not know this? How was this going on? Because usually once you find out, it's been going on for a bit. How did this go on and I not know? So there's a lot of self-reflection for the woman and a lot of self-blame, honestly, that starts to happen. Like, was this my fault? Was I not pretty enough? Or did I not cook well? Did I, whatever it is, like, do I not earn enough money? She usually starts the process of trying to understand what she did wrong, as opposed to thinking about the choice that the man made. And we're using this example of male, female. It could be the other way around, but I started with an example about a woman finding out that her spouse is cheating. So I do think all that stuff happens first. And it's this first it's just that you've been hit with it, right? And no matter what, even if you suspect it, when the reality is comes to fruition, and now you know without a shadow of a doubt that this is happening, you have proof. The person told you, you found something, however that happened, it hit you, and that's going to be a gut punch from the start. But then you start wondering all these other things. And women tend to think that they're to blame first, I think. And so the tone of your question kind of made me feel like, why doesn't she think that there's something that she should do differently first?
No, I'm just saying marriages it's supposed to be until death do us part. I mean, humans make mistakes. Not saying that's an excuse, but we immediately went from he's cheating to do I want to be in this relationship. I mean, that's understanding. Like, you have all rights for that, and I definitely understand that because y'all made vows and the other person did.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Betray that. But I just think that right there is either immediate way that, like, how your relationship is going to end bad. Instead of having a conversation that obviously that he should have definitely had with you first, or she, like whoever is the cheater should have definitely had with their mate in the first place before they cheat anyway.
Right.
They should have had expressed, so now it's on your hands to say, hey, you know what? We built this for foundation. Not only that, it's not only the cheating part for me, it's the part that you come home and you look at me, you lie to me, you doing all this. So like now I'm more intrigued on the seeing, okay, like what's really going on with us before we escalate. Let's talk. Maybe this is the end of our relationship, but it's just on how we go about it. It's just immediately, hey, end it. But how to have that conversation, I just want to have a adult conversation with you. Obviously, this is going on, so let's just see, What
yep.
I'm saying?
I agree with you 100% that you have the conversation. If cheating, if infidelity is a non-negotiable for you, and there's no way I'm going to survive this, like I already told you up front, this. Yes, we took these vows, but I know me, and if that happens, we're clear, we're done, right? There's some people like that. Those people aside, when I think in most cases, people do really try to work through it and they have a conversation. I agree with you that the problem comes in when people are dishonest about it. Either you lie and say it's not happening, or you blame the other person for your choices. Because if you there was a problem, let's talk about it, let's work through it, or just be honest. Like, look, this isn't working for me. This is what I'm trying to do now. And, but don't make the choice for me, then come back and then try to blame me for your choice. Like, that is, it's abusive in some ways. It's just emotionally abusive, and it's just wrong. You have to own it. And I think that's when the issues come up more often, when people don't own their stuff, and either the blame gets placed somewhere else or they're not having the adult conversation. So you got one partner that's sitting down saying, okay, let's talk about this. Like, what happened? First of all, are you doing this? If you lie, just know that's going to be, it's already a big problem. I already don't trust you. I already feel like you've been deceptive. Like you said, you're doing this, but you're also coming home looking at me every day, lying about where you've been, pretending that things are okay when they're not. So now I don't know what's real, what's true. I don't know if we've ever really had a loving relationship. I don't know all the other stuff you've lied about. I don't know who else is involved. I don't know who knows who does. All this crap is going through my mind now, and I have to sort through all of this, right? So my ground has been rocked from what I thought was true to now what I know isn't true, and I don't know the extent of that untruth, if you will. And so if you are the cheater and you're going to sit down and be honest and open, tell the whole story. Don't try to tell part of it or dole it out in bits and pieces. It's like, let's just have the conversation of what happened, answer the questions honestly. Like, okay, this is where we are now. So let's just really be honest and talk about it. I think if you do that, then you actually do have a chance of making the relationship work and having the other person work through it. Or at least you have a chance because you respect them enough to be honest about it and to have the conversation, to lay it all out there, and then let them decide how they want to engage from this point. Now, you can express, this is what I want. I don't want anything else. You can express whatever you want, but you also have to realize the decision's not in your hands anymore, because you took that decision away, and now the other person gets to forward. They want to engage, whether they want to divorce or not. And so, it's in most cases, I don't know. I can't say in most cases. I won't say that. But I think it's the lying that becomes really problematic, and the other dishonesties that are taking place, and people don't. Because imagine this, Bree. So I learned you cheated. You let me know. Maybe you got scared. Somebody was going to out you. Maybe you just got tired of lying. I don't know. Whatever it is. Maybe you got found out. You busted. All right. So now we know. And if you know then that this isn't the first time, now's the time to tell me that. Don't wait. And then I find out again, because now we have to go through the process and start over again. Now I distrust you even more because you weren't fully honest. And I think that's what happens a lot of times is people won't be fully honest, and they think, okay, I'll tell a little bit, and they try to reason it right for themselves. Like, well, she can't handle this much right now, so I'll tell this a little bit, or maybe I don't ever have to mention that, and the other person will never, ever know. I just think you're going to have a shot to be fully honest, not half honest, because if you're half honest, then you're half lying, right? A half truth is a half lie. So be fully honest and give the other person the respect to be clear about what's going on and to decide then if they want to try to work through it. But yeah, so now you're at that place, right? So now you're there when you're saying, okay, this is what happened. Let me decide. I feel like many times as people are deciding, for women particularly, they may still truly be in love with this person or truly want, feel like they can get through this. But I think there's a lot of shame around wanting to still move forward when people know that this has been the situation, that there's been cheating. And usually people know it's not as undercover as people like to believe or think. And so I think some of them want kind of this. It pains me that many women feel the shame of wanting to work through a marriage in the relationship, even when infidelity has been involved. Because really, they don't have anything to be ashamed of. They didn't do anything wrong in the case. Now, does everybody have something to work on? Yes. We're not perfect. Everybody has their flaws. Everybody has something, but this is a pretty big violation of the marital vows, the agreement, the covenant, the promise, whatever that is, right? And so you cheat, you get caught, or you don't get caught, you fess up. I think if you fess up, you honestly have a better chance of working through it. But then the question is going to be, what's the motivation for fessing up, right? Were you scared somebody's about to tell me? Like, what was going on? Because if you've been doing this and engaged in this for a minute, then why now? Why are you saying something, right? So that's what challenges me is the other person is now trying to understand and pick up the pieces and make sense of their world after all of this has changed. And if you cannot be honest fully, then that kind of tells me, I don't know if you really want this relationship or to work through it. And that's where I think guys mess up the most is they're not fully honest. They want to tell a little bit and hope that's enough. And hope that if they don't tell the rest, that the woman's still going to say, okay, we can work through this. But what they don't realize is if you do that later on and you find out something else, you're starting all over. What Kevin Hart say when he was like, yes, what do you need? What do you want? What you need? Okay, here you go. All right, what you need? What? Yep, right on it. Like, it's just, you don't want to go through that process, but you're kind of putting yourself in that position. So I don't know. Cassandra says a cheater will only talk and ask for forgiveness when they get caught. Yeah, because they're not really, if they're not caught, they're cool with what's going on. Typically, they're like, hey, there's no need to ask for forgiveness. There's no need to do anything different because I kind of got my cake and eat it too. And I think there are so many women that work through cheating relationships. There really, truly are. So it's not that it can't be done. But what I don't like is the societal pressure or the sense of shaming the woman who does decide she wants to work through it. We see it happen with politicians all the time. Now, I can't be the one that's going to stand up there with you on the stage and say, I'm supporting my husband if you just cheated on me. Hell, you were cheating with whoever you were cheating with and I wasn't there. So you handle all that, deal with that on your own. I might be willing to work through it, but I'm not going to stand up there by your side and take on all that comes with that when you made choices on your own and didn't involve me before. So it's I don't know, it gets complicated, but I do feel like everybody gets there in their own time. Some want to work it out, but don't see changes, but they still want to work through it. And that comes from a lot of different places. I think some people like the social status of being married. Some people like the fantasy of whatever they've created in their head around what marriage is. And I think some people are genuinely afraid of being alone for the rest of their lives. So if they get divorced, are they going to find somebody else? This dating pool sometimes is trash. And so am I going to find somebody else to be with? And is the crazy I know better than the crazy I don't know out there?
There you go. She's crazy as the exact.
I think women are making that same calculation. It just looks different, right? And they're thinking as who was it? Who said it's cheaper to keep her? Was that Johnny Taylor? I think that might be Johnny. That might have been Johnny Taylor's song, "Cheaper to Keep Her." But I do think that some women are very afraid of being alone for the rest of their lives, and some are making a calculation of, man, I've put so much into this. And while this person may have some to give up, I put in. I think that is a Hillary kind of calculation there, right? I've put a whole lot in. I expect to get a return on my investment. And okay, this is a bump in the road, but this is something that I can work through or get over. And women do it all the time. All the time. I think often. Some are I also feel like some feel the shame of wanting to stay with their husband despite the very hurtful situation, because you have all of these folks talking, right, about what you should do and what they wouldn't do and what they not gonna do. And they're not apprised of all of the information. They don't know your situation. They don't know your relationship fully. But a lot of women do take men back when it's very toxic. It's a very toxic situation. And I think that can happen for several reasons. Number one, they can just truly love this person. Even though it's difficult, it's what is normal for them. It's the crazy they know again, right? Versus the crazy they don't know. But I think that comes from a lot of unhealthy patterns as well. And that could be, this is what you saw in your household. It could be that you have been conditioned to accept abuse. You have, you just don't, maybe you're just less confident in who you are and what abilities you have. This lack of confidence really does, I think, keep women there, especially when you've lived some life now, right? So your body doesn't look the same, your face doesn't look the same. You you feel less confident that you can pull what you used to pull when you were 20s and tight and fresh faced and all of that. And especially if you have children, I think that's a big one too. So you got kids and you're like, okay, who's signing up for this? I don't know if I'm going to find anybody that wants to do this with children in the mix, but it happens all the time. So we tell ourselves all of these negative things about what if, and trying to make ourselves find a way to stay. And I think some are very valid and we need to do that. But many times we're seeing all the disastrous things as opposed to, and it's coming from a place of fear of the uncertain future. You're comfortable with the familiar, nothing wrong with that. But if you're making your choices simply out of fear, then I think that's when you have to check yourself and kind of think about, all right, what really is best for me? What really is best for this relationship? If there are children involved, what's best for the children? And then decide how you're going to move forward. And your friends there to support through it, no matter if your decision is stay. And it is, even if it is toxic, they're going to be there. They're going to support you. They're going to make sure that they help you when you get there in your own time. As people say, there's a saying that goes, when the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of changing, then you will change. And some of your good friends are going to be there to help you when it's time, when that pain gets to be enough that you're ready to change. They'll be there to support you. And they understand that everybody gets there in their own time. Some people do that very quickly and make a decision. Some people take years of deciding what they want to do. But I think many times the lack of confidence in ourselves and our abilities comes because we don't have a plan. And that is an important piece. If you are trying to figure out what you want to do and you're thinking about separation, but you feel like I want a divorce. This is not good for me, but I feel like I can't because XYZ, fill in the blank. I feel like I can't because, then it's time for you to create your plan on how you are going to overcome that so that you are not feeling stuck and you are not operating from a place of fear of the uncertain future. You have everything that you need to be successful. You have everything that you need to work through, and you just have to do it. You just have to do it. If that is the decision, and that's not to encourage you to divorce, that is to encourage you to make the decision that is the best decision for you, that is not coming from a place of fear, but a place of empowerment. And if it is, this needs to look different in this marriage, and this is how this needs to look, and let's create this plan for us to do that, good on you. As the Northerners say, good on you. That's what you need to do. But it has to come from this place of empowerment and this place of confidence as opposed to the place of fear. So, said a lot today. We said a lot today. So let me say these couple things before I end the show. It is important to me for women that are in the situations where you are feeling like it's people around me think this is taking too long to get over. Take the time that you need, sis. Take the time that you need. Nobody gets to determine how much time that is except for you. And so take the time that you need, walk through the process, get the resources that you need in order to help you to walk through your process, but just make sure that you're walking through it and not getting stuck in it. That is the important piece. Make sure that you're walking through it, you're not stuck, and you're not just sitting there and wallowing in what's happened, but you're moving. You're moving through it. And you're moving through to a better place of empowerment and creating what that new reality will be for you. You have every ability to do that. You have every ability to make different choices and to be empowered by those choices. And for those who are thinking, okay, well, I want to stay, because we have these negative patterns that play in our head, right? I was talking about how we first think about what did we do wrong and why is this relationship where it is now, because, I didn't do something. Not necessarily the case. Could be. Not necessarily, but you have to help that other person understand they made choices and they own their choices. And you get to make choices also. And so operate from a place of fear. Know that you are beautiful. Know that you are... You is smart, you is kind, you is, but know that, you know what I want you all to do? Many times we discount ourselves and we don't think that we have as much as we have. We don't think that we embody as much as we have. And oftentimes it's because we don't hear it. So here's what I want you to do. This is your homework assignment. You are in this place scared your decision because you feel like you're stuck and you feel like you don't have the skills, ability, the confidence. You're afraid. I want you to find at least 3 to 5 friends, post on your social media and ask your friends, what are the best qualities about me? What do I do well? What do you think is really good about me? And then I want you to take those things that people tell you, and I want you to meditate on that and think that, so that it helps to build your confidence so that you are better on the other side of this. It's been great talking to you all today. Again, I do, I did, I don't. This is Tasha on What's in It for the Black People Media on the show, and I will see you again next week. Take care.
Don't go too fast, you take your time. Just how I miss. Hey, you can't sit there, I'm drifting off your love. Keeps me floating, girl.